Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mother-Daughter Trauma Recovery TV. My name is Dr. Dylesia, and I am a mother-daughter trauma recovery expert. I have a doctorate of social work as well as a license in social work. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I've practiced for over a decade with women who have traumatic, toxic relationships with their moms due to the mom being absent, abusive, or neglectful. And today I'm bringing you another video. We're going to be talking about common misconceptions about women who go no contact with their mom. So if you are in this community, then you're probably pretty aware of what NC means. NC is an abbreviation for no contact that many women use. It is all the rave across TikTok, Instagram, it's all over the internet. Basically, it is a new age way to say that you've estranged from your mom, meaning that you all no longer have a relationship. Now, granted, there are phases of going no contact. There are various types of ways that you can estrange, but for the sake of this video, we're talking about women who just do not have any sort of communication at all. And that's because obviously they attempted and it wasn't able to be maintained. So I have here on my phone just some notes that I've been taking about things that I hear because I am a no contact girly, and then things that I've also heard my clients say, I've heard, floating around in the comment section. And if you're watching this video and you are a woman who's no contact with your mom, these things are going to be very familiar to you. They're going to be things that you relate to. You're going to listen and be like, I am so happy that I'm not the only one who somebody has said that crazy stuff to. And then you also could be watching this video because you are considering becoming a part of the no contact community. However, you are doing your research, okay? Not necessarily to say that you care about what people think, but you just want to make sure that you're not getting yourself into something that is a little bit over your head, or that you are preparing yourself for what will happen before it happens so that you can emotionally be ready when it happens. So you could be listening and just be in horror, actually. Like, people say that kind of stuff, and yes, they do. So I have 4 common misconceptions that I've heard. There are many. So if you hear something that you feel like I left out, please feel free to drop it in the comment box below. Chances are I know that it exists, but I've just truncated this list so that we won't be here all day because people say some crazy stuff. So the number one thing that I have heard is that you're the problem. So women with toxic moms often have toxic other people in their lives, right? So it could be that not only their mom is toxic, but they might have siblings who have sided with their mom. They might have a grandmother who the mom's toxicity was inherited from, or sort of environmentally, like she got it from her grandmother. So chances are there's not just one toxic maternal figure in a woman's family. And one of the things that I always hear is that, well, if all those people are toxic, you are the common denominator and you have to be the one who is making this toxicity happen. It can't just be them. You need to take a look at yourself, and there's something internally going on. And while I will say we all need to self-reflect, we all need to, do some self-growth. There's nothing wrong with leaning into yourself, with journaling, with going to therapy, with figuring out how you can better improve yourself. That is the stupidest thing that I've ever heard, right? So when I think of it, I think of you almost saying, well, there are multiple people in this person's family on drugs, so they have to be a drug dealer. Or there are multiple people in this person's family who can't get, women are not getting married. That's a generational curse that I see in that family. They must be the person down at the courthouse denying marriage certificates. That is silly. There is no way that there's a connection between just because you are breaking a generational curse that you're the person who is responsible for the perpetuation of the curse. In all actuality, you are attempting to end the perpetuation of it by taking a stand and deciding, I am not going to even fraternize with this BS anymore. I have realized that I have to detach myself completely so that I can build a new family line. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you've heard. Also, I've heard you must have did something to make her act that way. So if your mom is toxic, I know that you've heard this one. People are often like, for what? What did you do? What did you say? What did you do to tempt her? What did you do to trigger whatever her response was in her? And what people don't realize is you don't have to do anything to trigger a toxic mom. She's just toxic. If she's going to be abusive, if she's going to react to things that you didn't actually say, but she heard it in a different way, that's just something that mom is going to do, right? It's an internal stimuli that causes her to behave in the way that she does. A lot of times as a therapist, what I've seen as I work with moms, as I work with daughters and moms, and as I work with daughters who have given me descriptions of how their moms interact with them and with other people, one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of moms have some level of mental, disorder happening, whether it be that they have narcissism, whether it be another personality disorder, whether it be an extensive trauma history, and perhaps that trauma is causing them to see the world in a very distorted way. There are things that are internally going on that are unresolved, that are resulting in mom showing up in the relationship the way she is. So a lot of times moms are not even interacting with the daughter that they see before them. It's like, who's she talking to? I have been in situations with my mom, or even with, other women. It doesn't even have to be my mom, where I'm like, what? The insult that they're throwing it at me doesn't even apply to me. It's almost like they are engaging with somebody else, like, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? Where are you at right now? Are you in reality? So I want you to know, if you've heard that one, that also is absurd. There is not, yes, in normal circumstances, A plus B equals C. A lot of times that equation does apply. But when you're dealing with somebody who is overwhelmingly abusive and difficult to be around, many times there is not anything that has to be done. Also, when it comes to parent and child relationships, the parent is always going to be the perpetuator of whatever is going on. So they're the perpetrator, right? Even if, and I see this happen so many times, especially when I'm dealing with daughters who are adult and then they're older in their adulthood, a lot of times daughter has made mistakes too, right? But it started off with whatever parenting style or, aggression or whatever may have happened in their mother-daughter relationship. And because daughter didn't disconnect or wasn't even given permission to disconnect, and by disconnect, I don't always mean going no contact, because that is super hard for somebody who's 12 years old to go no contact. It's even hard for somebody who's 24, who's 34, who's 54. It is a difficult thing to come to the point where you're like, I am no longer going to participate in this relationship that is the reason why I am on earth. So that is a very hard thing to come to. And a lot of times, depending on age, depending on circumstances, it might not even be reasonable, right? So what I want you to know though is that mom was that first person. If mom was different, if she was affirming, if she was supportive, if she was loving, chances are some of the things that have transpired over the course of that relationship would not have happened. You were in turn responding to the environment that was created by your parent, right? We as children give what we are given. We as adults give, and we are given what we get from kids. Or did I say that right? I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. There's no way to blame a child for the actions of an adult, or for the way that a relationship with someone who is far more adult than them, even if they are an adult, has done, right? Like, it's just not reasonable. That's, if my child was 25 and I am 55, I can't blame her for the status of our relationship when there is a long history of dysfunction in it, okay? So, the next thing that I have heard, and this is thing number 3, is that you like cutting people off. You want to be alone. Those are some of the things I hear about women who go no contact. They are just antisocial, right? Like, they don't have good communication skills. Their natural inclination is going to be to cut somebody off instead of giving that person an opportunity. What I love to say to people is that you don't understand no contact then, especially not with a mom. It takes literally a daughter to try every possible scenario that she could have tried, and then go back and try them again, and then sometimes go back and try them a 17th time for her to get to the point where she's even considering, I need to end this relationship. And then there are so many times where women go back on it. Mom gets sick, or Mom gets in a financial bind or something happens in the family. She sees her at a family function. Those things are all what I like to call entry points. And those are basically points of entry. They're points where you have to be really, really on safeguard and really, really short in your decisions and the boundaries that you've set, because they're probably going to suck you back in. Mother's Day, for instance, is a entry point. A lot of times women who are no contact will reach out to their moms on Mother's Day because everybody else is doing it. So a lot of times I just want you to know, if a woman is solid 10 toes down on her no contact, it is not because she just likes cutting people off. It's because so many things have happened within her relationship with her mom that there was no other option. And the same way that you feel sorry for her mom for being cut off contact with, you need to feel sorry for that daughter who reached a point where that was even the only option for her. So the final thing that I hear is that women who go no contact with their moms are evil, right? We just are the most terrible people in the world. We have to be completely heartless. We have just this very militant way of interacting with everyone. We're emotionless, we're robots. You name it, I've heard it. And another thing that I want to point out is going no contact is disappointing, first of all. Like, it is not something that you just wake up and you're like, you know what, I think I'm going to go no contact today. It is a result of failed promises. It's a result of unmet expectations. It's a result of standards that were completely destroyed and not respected. It's a result of boundaries that were walked all over. It's a result of constant attempts to fix something and not getting the acceptance or help of the other person. You're literally trying on your own, and this other person is still constantly doing everything that you begged them not to do because you told them this stuff is hurting me, and they're still doing it. That is what estrangement is the result of. So to call someone evil because they got to the point where they decided, finally, after 30, 40, how many ever years, I'm going to choose myself, that just it's mind blowing. I understand the psychology behind it. I get it. So many people are conditioned to believe that we're supposed to love our moms more than we love ourselves. I've posted that on social media before, that the problem in society and why we have so many mother-daughter trauma situations happening is because you are supposed to do that. People expect that moms can do no wrong, that they are at the top of every food chain that ever exists, and we don't really get taught to appreciate or value ourselves. And that's the reason why this continues to be perpetuated. So I want those who are listening and who may not be no contact, maybe you just stumbled across this video, to know that it's exhausting to cut people off, y'all. It's disappointing to cut people off. It's heartbreaking. Of course, you get to a point where you are okay with it, but it's never what someone wants, right? Even if you're like, I understand why I wasn't getting anything out of this relationship, it was not fulfilling to me, this is all that I have to do, my life is going to be better without it. There was still a point in time where it would have been ideal for the relationship to still exist. And you realize that ideal is just not going to happen. So you're not evil for cutting your mom off. You are not heartless. You do not have, a heart of solid ice. Like, that is not the case. The thing is, and this is another qualm I have with society, is the way that we're taught being nice. Like, being nice and being kind are two completely different things, and we often are not taught the differences. So when you think about being nice, when people are nice, they are just doing and saying things as like a social strategy. It's so that people can like them. It's so that they can be, in favorable relationships and communities. And a lot of times, a lot of people who are nice are really not nice behind the scenes. Some of you out there may have had moms who would be so phony in front of people, and then behind their back they are talking stone cold shit about them. Excuse my French. But that they're looked at as nice. Everyone thinks, oh, she's so nice. Kindness, though, comes from a place of genuine love, concern, understanding, the desire to get to know. And sometimes within being kind, you recognize that the kindest thing I can do is to no longer be attached to this person. Not just for me, but for them, because the way that they interact with me is putting them in a bad light. Maybe I don't want them to constantly be taken out of who I believe that they can be, their potential, who they want to be seen as, by constantly interacting with me in this way. And I know when I estranged from my mom, that I just was like, we can't keep this going on. You know, this is for me, this is for you, this is for future generations of women in our family. And one of the things I always tell people is that I estranged for my mom's inner child. And what I mean by that is her mom was also extremely toxic. My mom has a very, very traumatic upbringing story that this is not the platform right now, this video, to share, but I don't mind sharing it. Um, and I know, because I am aware of how mother daughter trauma cycles throughout life, I know that there's a point in time where a daughter is mourning and she's sad and she really wants to have a mom who is there for her and is supportive and is loving and is affirming. She wants that. And then at some point she doesn't get it and she has children, and she, with her unresolved trauma, also makes the same mistakes and then starts to justify her mom's behavior because now they've become comrades, right? Like, you did this to me and it hurt me, but because I didn't heal from it and learn alternative actions and ways of being, I then duplicated what you did. And then now I'm no better than you, mom. So we cool now. All is forgiven, which we know that all is not forgiven in those situations, but all is forgiven. And now my daughter is on the outskirts and we are now moms. I've graduated into the mom society, right? And because I knew that happens and I've seen it happen and I've studied the psychology of it happening, I know that at some point in time, there was a younger version of her who wanted more and wanted better. And not just wanted it for herself, but wanted it for her children and wanted to be the person who changed the trajectory of it. She just didn't know how. And I always say that generational curses are no match for good intentions. You have to have strategy. And because I have the strategy, who would I be to not apply it? Who would I be to consider this older woman that my mom is now turned into over the inner version of her who really wanted more? I want to give that baby what she wanted. That is kindness, y'all. That is kindness. So know that you are very kind. You are moving mountains for generations that no one else in your family could do for you. You are the chosen one. And that is the kindest thing that you could ever do. So, like I said, let me know in the comments below, what are some other misconceptions that you've heard about yourself if you are a woman who's no contact, that you've heard about women who are no contact if you don't fit into the group. And I will see you next time for my next video.